Spider-Man may not ever really get to have a storybook happy ending in the main continuity reality of Earth 616, but that doesn't mean that his alternates can't settle down and maybe find some happiness, passing on the Spider-Man legacy. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of Spider-Man's coolest children who typically come from realities where Peter Parker ended up married to and started a family with his childhood sweetheart, Mary Jane Watson. Of course, not all realities these kids are from are happy ones, but a lot of them are. Worlds where we get to see what Peter would be like as a dad and just what kind of family dynamic the Parkers would have. Join me as we count down the top 10 children of Spider-Man. And if you want to learn about some of the more shocking moments from the Spider-Verse and even beyond that, click on over here to check out one of our latest videos, Top 10 Most Shocking Moments in Marvel History, Part 3. Maybe if enough of you like it, I'll even do a Part 4. I definitely have more shocking moments that we need to talk about. And as always, be sure to stick around to the end of this list where I will have some bonus content coming your way. Alright, now let's get counting. Number 10, Ben Parker. Ben and May, by the way, are going to be names you'll get familiar with on this list, so to start off with each point, I'm going to try to clarify just which Ben and which May we're talking about. This Ben is from the Spider-Man Limited series written by J.J. Abrams and his son Henry. It's known as the 2019 Just Spider-Man series, or Spider-Man Volume 3. Here Ben was a young boy when his mother Mary Jane Watson was murdered by the villain known as Cadaverous. His father Peter, distraught, retired as Spider-Man and abandoned his son, leaving him to be raised by what should be a super elderly Aunt May at this point. Aunt May raised Ben as she had Peter and eventually gave him his father's costume, which he then wore to impress his classmate Faye Ito, or Ito Faye, depending on how you want to say it, Japanese way or American way. But when Cadaverous resurfaced, Ben also wore this suit to fight against him, possessing the same powers as his dad. Number 9, Mai Parker. This Mai Parker comes to us from Universe X, from the reality of Earth 1122. She first appeared in Universe X issue X. Yep, weird lettered issue. I don't like that. Her past is similar to that of another alternate daughter of Spidey's, but with one possible difference. It's implied that she is actually the daughter of clone Ben Reilly and not Peter himself. Her mother is Mary Jane, however, implying that Ben and MJ maybe had a thing, maybe while she was with Peter. We don't really know. She has similar powers to that of Spider-Man and ends up joining X-51's superhero team composed of different heroes from alternate realities known as the Heralds. You can check out the Heralds team in the Paradise X Herald series. Number 8, Spider-Woman. Actually, Barton is technically Spider-Man's granddaughter, but is still a grandchild of his, so still a child of Spider-Man. See what I did? And she is super cool, so I had to include her. She made her first appearance in 2003's Wolverine series issue 67 and comes to us from the Old Man Logan universe of Earth 807128. She is the daughter of Peter Parker's youngest daughter, Tonya, and Hawkeye. Yeah, try not to focus too much on the potential age difference there. Feels a little wince-inducing. Ashley attempted to take over Hammer Falls and usurp Kingpin's rule there, but she was captured. Old Man Hawkeye later rescued her, only for her to try and kill him, surprisingly. She appears to have powers similar to those of Spider-Man. It's kind of a weird point to finish it on, but whatever, Amanda, that's what you wrote. Number 7, Richie Parker. Richie Parker comes to us from the House of M reality. We've seen 2 different versions of him from different realities, and it's implied that Richard Parker II would grow up to exhibit superpowers similar to his father's, potentially even being able to produce organic webbing in addition to Peter's usual power set. Rather than being the son of Mary Jane and Peter, Richie is the son of Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker. There is a version of him with powers in What If Spider-Man House of M issue number 1, and a little baby version of him in the series Spider-Man House of M. Number 6, Venom. This Mai Parker comes to us from the reality of Earth 9997. That would be the universe of Earth X. She first appeared in 1999's Earth X series in issue number 1. She is also the daughter of Peter Parker and Mary Jane, like so many of these kids. However, her mother died of cancer when she was younger. Her powers manifested when she was just a teen and are similar to her father's. But May also has the powers granted to her by the alien symbiote known as Venom, whom she is bonded to. Initially, the Venom symbiote sought her out after leaving an elderly Eddie Brock, hoping to continue its vengeful pursuits against May's father and turn her against him. May's willpower and spider sense proved too powerful for the symbiote though, and so its plan did not work. Instead, she bent the being to her will and used the symbiote for her own heroic means. But she still goes by the name Venom, which I like. Number 5, Benji Parker. Benji is one of Peter's children with Mary Jane from the reality of Earth 19529. He first appeared in Spider-Man Life Story issue number 3 and was created by Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley. In this reality, Mary Jane gave birth to twins and left Peter shortly after they were born, not being able to deal with the fact that Peter led 2 lives. One is Peter Parker and one is the hero Spider-Man. Benji was likely mostly estranged from his father for a good amount of his childhood, as Mary Jane took her children with her when she left Peter and raised them near Portland, Oregon. But Benji would reconnect with his dad when he was 11. Number 4. Claire Parker. Claire is the twin sister to Benji. She also first appeared in Spider-Man Life Story issue number 3. Later on in their lives, her family would be tormented by the villain known as Moreland, who killed their Uncle Ben shortly after Claire had returned home after finishing college. Peter hoped to lure Moreland away from his family by returning to New York, but instead Moreland chose this opportunity to strike on Peter's kids. He attempted to devour Claire's life energy, but she managed to fend him off by attacking him while he fed. Benji came up with a theory that Moreland was actually more vulnerable to being attacked while feeding, and came up with a plan to use himself as bait so that Claire could defeat him. This plan actually worked, but it also left Benji permanently injured, causing him to have to walk with a cane for the rest of his life. Number 3. Spiderling. Anna May Annie Parker is from the Earth of 18119. She made her first appearance in 2015's Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows issue number 1. Her Earth was revealed to be one of the alternates condensed and weirdly preserved in God Emperor Doom's battle world following the incursions. The reality was transformed into the domain known as the Regency. In this alternate reality, Annie was the daughter of Mary Jane and Peter and developed spider-like abilities similar to her father's. Her spider sense also grants her a kind of future vision, and as such is considered more involved and more powerful than Peter's. Number 2. Little Benjamin Benji Parker. This Ben Parker, fondly referred to by his sister as Benji, first appeared in 1998's Spider-Girl in issue 59. You know what that means. He is the little brother of Mayday Parker. Benji showed signs of powers very early on. He bonded with the Carnage symbiote when he was just a little toddler, and May had to use sonic waves to separate the symbiote from him. Because he was so small, his eardrums actually burst, giving him hearing loss and making him deaf, which May felt awful about and super responsible for. Even without his hearing though, Benji was still a perfectly happy little boy. He would later recover his hearing, but after bonding with the symbiote, it was believed that the experience may have altered Benji's physiology somehow. His powers began to surface shortly afterward, leaving him crawling on ceilings and walls and manifesting and using his own super strong organic webbing. It's believed Benji could even grow up become a more powerful hero than both his sister and his father. Number 1. Mayday Parker. May Parker, aka Spider-Girl, aka Spider-Woman, is one of the most famous of Spider-Man's kids. She is from the alternate reality of Earth 982 and first appeared in the 1989 What If series in issue 105. The story she was featured in sought to answer the question, what if Mary Jane had never lost the baby and Spider-Man had a Spider-Girl? People loved Mayday so much that she would later get her own series, Spider-Girl, which would have a 100-issue run. Pretty impressive. Like her little brother, she is of course the daughter of Mary Jane and Peter. She shares her father's abilities, but she isn't quite as physically strong as he is. However, she does have enhanced agility and spider sense, which more than makes up for that slight difference in strength. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. Who are some of your favorites when it comes to Spider-Man's kids? Would you like to see Peter Parker become a parent in the 616 continuity as well? How do you feel about legacy heroes? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Dark Origin Stories That Really Happened, Part 3. Elizabeth writes, I feel that Magneto, Dawkins, X-23, the twins, Gabby, I had more, have very dark origins. Yeah, I feel like a lot of Wolverine related heroes or villains in general actually have pretty dark origins. It's like a competition for who can have the darkest origin. Sabretooth and Omega Red also have pretty crazy and twisted backstories themselves. Pierre Bouy 2 responds, dark origins don't surprise me. I mean, Hulk started out as an actual monster, but could you blame him? I mean, not really. It wasn't really his fault, so I don't think I can blame him. It was Tony Stark's fault. Revelations. Spoilers for some of you that haven't read Original Sin. Broken Bridge comments, Iron Man has a really interesting backstory, and part of his dark backstory is losing his parents too. Too true. And also alcoholism and just how lost he gets in wells sometimes and the material. There's a lot of darkness in Tony's past. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feels shouted out in a future video. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay nerdy, YouTube. Oh my Uncle just cracked. That person thinks they're ancient at 14.
Yeah.
Try like almost being 30. It's rough. So he's like she's a, what am I trying to say here? Sorry, go back. Thank you, Chris. Initially, the Venom symbiote, Anna Mai, I just love that name, Anna Mai Parker, but she's not Southern.